All right. But we know that leading journalists and investigative journalists, Manasseh Azuri-Awene, has been undertaking a piece on local beans contracted with a number of companies with the Jospon Group. We'll bring you this report, and when we come back, we're doing those discussions. Please do stay on.
Make no mistake, this environment has nothing to do with sanitation or waste management. This premises is the district police headquarters in Chendere in the Krachin-Chumuru district of the Volta region. About 200 of these litter bins have been here since last year, and they were relocated here because the owner of the facility in which they were kept in Chendere town asked the assembly to find a place for them. Emmanuel Eduamwa is the environmental health officer of the Biakunya District Assembly of the Volta region. In 2015, that district was given 350 waste bins for distribution to households and government agencies. But 2 years on, the district has been able to distribute only 20% of that number. The rest of the litter bins, some of which are packed at the district community center in Nkonya, are cracking in the sun.
The issue is that it is affordability. It goes with some cost, and those who are supposed to take them, not all of them can afford the payment of a token of 15 cedis per month.
Biakunya is not the only district assembly that has problems distributing the waste bins, which were procured by the Ministry of Local Government and Rural Development for assemblies across the country. At the Tema Metropolitan Assembly, some of the waste bins are still left in the open. In the Volta region, I cited and filmed piles of waste bins in South Dai District Assembly, Bando Municipal Assembly, Krachi East, Krachi West and Krachin-Chumuru district assemblies. The waste bins in most of these districts are left in the sun and they are being destroyed by the weather. At the Northern Regional Coordinating Council in Tamale, there are bins packed under a tree. In the Upper East region, there are waste bins left in the open at the Bongo and Talensi district assemblies at the time of my visit. At the old residency of the Upper West Regional Coordinating Council in Wa, a pile of litter bins left there for over 2 years is covered with weeds. The bins are left in the open and they are being destroyed by the harsh weather conditions. The Wa Municipal Assembly, which is a few meters away from here, has not been able to distribute some of the litter bins. There are hundreds of them left in the open at 2 separate locations, the residences of the Municipal Coordinating Director and the Municipal Finance Officer. The Wa Municipal Environmental Health Officer, George Arthur, says the municipality started the distribution through Zoom Lion.
When we supply people individually, like some of these political organs, former MCs had to give them. They were, whenever we go out on this our premises inspection, we see that some of them will pack them in the house and store in water. I was able to organize my environmental officer. We went to run all those people who were seeing all this, and we treat them back.
You're using it for water?
Yeah, they were using it for water.
He says there are about 500 waste bins left, but they are all broken because of the long exposure to the sun. Some of the assemblies, especially those in the rural areas, say their districts have no need for them. Apart from schools and a few government institutions, individuals prefer their own portable containers in which they can carry their refuse to the communal waste containers for dumping. In some of the districts, the residents who clamored for the litter bins were using them to store water. When the district assemblies realized this, they started perforating holes in them, so the residents stopped picking them. Another reason the world established...
Okay, so I have to start, and I know that one of the districts that was mentioned, I'm sure will be in the South Dying area, or the communities. Okay, and I know Manasseh has been on this piece for some time. He says there's more to come. What do you make of the investigation so far?
Now, it's interesting. Let me first of all use the opportunity, customarily, to say good morning to my people in Peki, Beve, Tongo, and Bali, traditional areas. Of course, my district has been mentioned in the investigative report. It's interesting because I have seen the beans.
You've seen some of the beans at the assemblies before?
They are dumped in the open. That's because we don't have space to house them. And from last year, in fact, before the elections, I do not know whether the bin that the quantity that was shown in the snapshot were part of the contract in question, the bins that are supposed to have been supplied under the contract in question. Otherwise, these bins have been at the assembly, at least at my assembly, from about last year.
Okay.
Certainly before October. But my problem is that from what we have read, it means the people are not supposed to pay anything to be supplied the bins. But the arrangement on the ground is different because they are asking them to pay some money. The households, the assembly are asking any person from any household within the district who is interested in being supplied with the bin, they are being asked to pay some money. I've forgotten the amount. But because of my activities before the elections, I was interested, I was desirous of getting a lot of households allocated the bins. But the roadblock was that we had to pay some money. And the danger was because of the huge numbers of the people, it was not possible for me to pay for everybody. So I couldn't do anything about that. Because there were some huge refuse dumps in some of the communities that I personally have had to sponsor for those to be cleared. So as part of the measures to control the people from, or so that to ensure that the people do not go back to dump refuse back in the area, it was part of my arrangement to get them bins in their respective homes. But the arrangement frustrated that process.
So you suspect it's because the assemblies were compelling their inhabitants who were interested in collecting the bins to pay for them?
Yes, to pay some money. But to be very honest, I've forgotten the amount. But I am saying it was because of this financial roadblock. That is why the people have not been allocated the bins. If they were to be allocated freely without any financial encumbrance, you wouldn't have seen any bin there because the people were interested in getting them and dumping their domestic refuse for purposes of collection later by Zumla.
But if you look at the whole point of the argument and also the investigative piece by Manasseh, it's about quotations that have been made and more specifically which were suspectedly not to be of market price, even for the companies supposedly that are supposed to be supplying those bins per the contract they have with the Ministry of Local Government and Rural Development.
If you listen to me carefully, I made the point that the bins that were shown in the snapshot in Manasseh's yes. So Manasseh should tell us that the bins that he went around to discover are actually not the bins that form part of the contract in question. So then the question will be, the bins, the 1 million bins that are supposed to have been supplied under this contract that is under attack, where are they? Because if you understand procurement, a contract of that magnitude awarded to 4 separate companies, they could have done the supply before January. And these bins are robust, you need space. So I'm sure the supply would have been done this year. And so we need to know where they are and whether indeed it's been supplied. But the point is this. Yes, the figures look suspicious, particularly when a unit price is being quoted at $60. What is the market price of these bins? We need to know. Because if the market price, even if the market price is equivalent to $60, I don't think that a contract of this magnitude, the person should be quoting as market price. It should be quoting as wholesale price, or at best, the cost of production before sale. You understand? Because the market price, it consists of the wholesale price the retail price. The retail price consists of wholesale price plus the corner shop businessman's profit margin. So if he gets it from the manufacturer, say 150 cedis, that's the wholesale price, then his markup will be like 50 cedis. So he'll be selling at 200 cedis. But a contract of this nature, you have to go to the producer, the manufacturer directly, and even negotiate because of the volumes the person will be producing and the ready market available. These are the dynamics. That is why it appears, again, this one to scandalize and shock the sensibilities of people. So indeed, as part of the minority, we are asking that investigate the matter. If you find any wrongdoing, why? Let the law take its normal course. And you see, and let the investigative reports be made public. It is also very important that when you investigate and you make those determinations, tell us that yes, indeed, we didn't have value for money. I think that is the novel expression now. We didn't have value for money. If we did not, what happened? You know, so that we stop the speculation. It helps because we are injuring somebody else's economic interest, and that is just fun. Yes, it is curious that 4 subsidiaries from the same entity will win.
5 actually. Okay,
5 subsidiaries from the same entity will win. Those are some of the issues, but I cannot sit here and judge because it appears is the major player in that subsector of the economy. You know,
but
so,
at the end of the day, that part of Manasseh's report, and even from the beginning, is questioning the rationale of contracting and making subsequent supplies of large packages of bean when already, according to the report, we have existing contracted beans that had been transported to some of the notable assemblies he visited, but had subsequently not been distributed. And of course, we know experiences from the Member of Parliament is indicating pricing, etc. Perhaps maybe the assemblies were allowed or not allowed to do may have been. So that also questions the rationale of having, well, beans, etc.
Yeah, I want to make a small point before it comes in. The other problem with this whole arrangement, as shown in the snapshot, is that, you see, the beans are made of plastic. And plastic exposed to the vagaries of the weather, it becomes brittle over time. So as I speak, I suspect that even when these beans are distributed, they will not last. They won't serve the purpose.
Because they'll be breaking.
Yes. You know, so we are really, you know, doing things that is hurting this economy in this country.
Yeah, it's true. I do agree with what Honorable said. It's very unfortunate. It's very problematic in this country how we go about doing things. But before I go into the issues, let me take this opportunity to wish the people, the members of MPP in the United States, a very good morning. I don't think they are awake.
Which state were you?
Virginia.
Okay. You're in Virginia. What time
the
is it?
The state for lovers.
They have not been affected by the floods.
It's still short. That's still short.
Yeah. Texas is way far from us. Now, it's revealing what Honorable just said, that the beans are not even supplied to the intended, you know, people, those who really need the beans. That's an aspect of the whole investigation and what Honorable also just said. But the real issues are the money involved in these contracts. You see, this is just a subset of a lot of corruption that did happen in the erstwhile administration. And it's extremely unfortunate how insensitive they were. At the very time that they were awarding contracts to such magnitude, overpricing contracts, inflating prices of contracts and projects, statutory obligations were not fulfilled. SNIT contributions, GET Fund, GIDA, National Health Insurance.
You may release of statutory funds.
I'm coming out, I'll address the issues. But again, like I said, I am grateful to the good people of this country to have voted out the NDC administration because this was their benchmark. For me, I think we failed to characterize and label the NDC administration as they were supposed to have been. For me, the agenda was to put straw into our consolidated funds and siphon it. The agenda was to rake the consolidated funds for their own personal aggrandizement. And clearly,
Roland, I think my brother should address the issue.
No, I'll address the issue.
When you make this scandalous
Honorable, when you were talking, I kept quiet all the time.
Let's
spoke for a while.
Issue.
No, I'm addressing
Has the report established that is
Honorable,
not the unit price?
Can you please do me the favor?
I'll do you.
Thank you. Roland, I'm very concerned about how over years we've had issues of this nature. It bothers me. It bothers me because as a youth and as somebody who has traveled from far to come back home to still see our young folks on the street selling yams, dog chains, credit unit and all of that.
There are no unemployed people in the U.S.?
There are, a lot of them.
Okay.
I see people sleeping on the streets, but the magnitude. Okay. But trust me, yes, they are unemployed people, but the officials do not inflate prices, projects to this magnitude. Somebody would have gone to jail. But again, in addressing the issues, I'm trying to say that this is one of the many, it's an epitome of the many things that did transpire in the, let me give you some few examples to buttress my point. I'm not just making whimsical arguments here. In Kumasi Airport, the runaway rehabilitation, the NDC administration said it cost us $23.8 million US. The same government, when they were proposing to build an airport in Ho, said it will cost $25 million US. Meanwhile, in Ethiopia, they were building a brand new airport at a cost of $21 million US. Let me give you another example again. When the bus rebranded, should have cost the good people of this country 11,600 Ghana cedis. It cost us 3.6 million Ghana cedis, almost 1 million. A combination of car power.
No, wait. You said that branding of how many buses?
Over 100 buses. That should have cost 11,600. Cost us.
No. I think that ultimately after the investigations, it was half the price.
Half the price?
Yes.
At the end of the day, how much did it cost?
It was rather when they were doing the quotations, each of them cost.
How much was it supposed to cost us?
Half the price.
Exactly. So you see, it's forced into this whole agenda of the NDC to use projects, inflate the prices, and then the rest goes into their pockets and their cronies. So for me, it's worrying. It's extremely worrying. And I believe, just like Honorable said, there should be an investigative body. And as a member of the MPP government, as a member of MPP, I'm beginning to get worried because we hear of corruption here, we hear of corruption there, and yet we don't see anybody being prosecuted. As a matter of national emergency and agency, some people need to be dragged to the court of law so that the due process will be followed. I understand the patience because we have a history where people were perceived as corrupt, they were tied to a pole and they were shot. And I don't foresee that happening. We want to make sure the due process do take place. But at the same time, we want to see something being done because it breaks our heart when we hear of these reports. It really saddens the youth of this country, especially at the time when all of these things were happening. They told us, no, we cannot afford to pay teacher trainee allowances. We cannot afford to pay nursing trainee allowances. At this same time when these things were happening, they were telling us we cannot afford to even supply trucks to school. Even feeding to the secondary schools became a problem to some point where the schools were supposed to close down for students to come home because so it's a huge problem. And I am very optimistic that this administration will not take the trajectory of which the last administration took. Because when it does happen, just like the good people of this country spoke in 2016, they'll speak in same sound and in same manner. So we should be very careful. And I'm hoping that very soon we will see people being dragged to court.
All right. You wanted to make a rebuttal.
Yeah, a rebuttal. You see, when my brothers make arguments like this.
You mean the blanket argument?
Yes.
Incidents like this or suspicions like this?
Yes, it becomes disheartening. Why? You are saying that a contract price has been inflated. No contrary report suggests that. Everything they have done so far.
There was a report on GIDA.
Please.
We lost almost 1 billion.
Please, let me finish. No contrary report in terms of this just one matter. That is why I have sat here and said that if you think you have such suspicions, investigate the matter and come up with a report to establish that indeed The contract was supposed to have quoted at a unit price of, say, A, and they quoted B. But once you haven't done that, stop the speculations. Multitude of suspicions do not constitute proof. But that is exactly the agenda they have set. In most of the contract issues that have come up. Have you heard of Ameri again? Ameri.
I should be asking you.
Yes.
It was an issue raised in Parliament.
We told them. They came now, they are in Parliament. They said that it should be, Parliament should withdraw the ratification. Do you understand? A contract that has been signed, which is now an executive decision between the Republic of Ghana and another private entity.
Isn't it also because the minority said that the motion in itself had not been phrased adequately?
Yes. But as for those procedural matters, we have spoken to it. But we are saying that they intentionally will throw these matters into the public domain.
It's
it's
You
intentional.
think they are buying time?
No, hold on. It is deliberate.
It's not.
Just to give us, hold on. Just to give us a bad
Well, the
name.
concern of the MPP is that consistently some of these actions or inactions.
Even the Smith matter. Hold on. The Smith matter.
We'll come to the
Hold on.
Let
me cite it. Even the Smith matter as we speak, there's no contrary report yet. That is why we are saying that they should take their time, establish the veracity and the basis of those claims before you speak. Yes, but the agenda is to badmouth the NDC and make us look bad. It will fail.
Well, for example, Manasseh seems to be questioning, looking at rates on the market, etc. Of course, I've read arguments also coming from related people to the company.
Roland,
and the argument is that payment is amortized over a year, and so that is why costs.
I have sat here and spoken to those same matters. That because of these suspicions and worries that have been expressed by genuine people, investigate the matter. So when the issues arise, let us speak to the issue.
All right.
Let us start the general.
Unfortunately, I don't have much time, so I have to move
just give me
30
seconds. In the absence of all these reports that he's calling for, are you really genuinely telling me when we had 10 gas plants costing us $510 million US, while GE could have provided us with the same number of plants for 220? Should we wait for an investigation?
Who gave you that report?
Hold on.
Who gave you that report?
No, that's okay.
From G.
Let me finish.
From G.
Thank you.
Where is the report from G?
They look at trends in the market.
Trends.
Exactly. Is that not how we do business? You're a business person at the same time you're a lawyer and a politician. You do business. And the manner in which you do your business, is it the same way you want government to also do business? I hope not. Because at the end of the day, they know when they go about doing things the way they were doing, it goes into their pockets.
Kofi,
so are you abrogating?
No, Kofi, that even transitions us into the subject of SNIT, because even the latest minutes and interactions that took place as far as some investment portfolios of SNIT are concerned, which of course JoyNews had uncovered, indicates that some of the investments that were undertaken, proper due diligence were not undertaken. I mean, that's in that sense. At the end of the day, the conclusion or the suspicion really is that SNIT had been undertaking investments which did not inure positively to the contributors and to the public purse.
I mean, it's true. Like I've been saying.
For example, we're told that in some, two investments, $150 million.
When I hear these figures,
had been made, one in Opoigon, Donkuna, etc. At the end of the period, the management body and the board itself had given the oversight rule that there was no need to do any value for money audits on those investments.
Roland, you know what? Sometimes when you hear the details of these things happening in our country, you ask yourself, where are we as a nation? And as I sit here, I want us to spare the details and go into the real issues. People work for years, decades. They come back home and they die out of poverty. And this money they have contributed while they were working, and in the hope that their money will be invested so that when they go on retirement, they will be able to get something to eat. You mentioned United States, so let me make reference. We call it 401k. This is a contribution they do not play with. Because when they are done working at the end of the day and they come home, they cannot do anything. They need to pay their mortgage. They need to pay their bills, and it's a whole lot of
Whilst
bills.
you're still old, you still have to pay your mortgage.
Exactly, all of that. There's no subsidy for whatever it is. So, but when you come back home, the issues are not the same. SNIT does whatever they want, goes into an investment, they lose, and they come back and provide us with all sorts of explanations. Let's move forward. I would want to see the nation being sanitized because, Honorable, please, you are in Parliament, and I know your heart is in a good place to serve the good people of this country. I hope that moving forward, you as a minority will fight for the good people of this country so that we'll be able to avoid these issues of mismanagement.
Some of the argument of him that first, there needs to be some establishment, some kind of a prima facie of any wrongdoing before we bring the subject into the court of public opinion and pronounce judgment, and while the conclusive reports are not yet in. At the end of the day, not soiling people's reputations and the reputations of institutions of state.
That's exactly what this government has decided to do. That when we hear this allegation, we don't quickly drag people to the court.
Well, there was a press conference that was put together by the board chairman. What was that to benefit?
See, at the end of the day, let's take our time. And I'm very optimistic about the actions and inactions of this particular administration, especially being led by Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. Let's put our heart to rest, though it's disheartening. And at the end of the day, like I've been saying, the issues will come up, they will be addressed. And moving forward, these things will not happen because we've been able to do away with a regime that has an agenda to make sure
please stop
that,
this kind of
that they will continue to siphon the consolidated.
You think it's in the campaign mood then?
No, it's not in the campaign.
It is most improper.
It's not. It's proper
what
because
agenda
it's
of
our
a regime?
money. It's our money, and we can go back to the history and all the money that has been wasted by the NDC. It's not about politics or campaign. It's the truth.
Okay.
I'm talking about the truth.
At the end of the day, we know that there have been questions that have been raised about how the management body and board of SNIT over the years, I mean, not just particularly over the last couple of years, since its establishment, have been making judicious or non-judicious use of the contributions of pensioners or workers and not making profit at the end of the period.
Roland, the mandate of SNIT is to manage pension funds.
By law.
By law. Now, as a result of that, they have over a very long period, over a 50-year period, engaged in all manner of investments with monies of pensioners. SNIT, I recall, in 1992, as a schoolboy, they built SNIT flats in the regional capitals. It was an issue. But at the end of the day, it did help in improving the housing stock in this country.
True, but
hold on.
Profitability.
Hold on. They were criticized. They were criticized. SNIT invested in La Palm. They were criticized. But it is an investment that is yielding dividends. I should believe so. SNIT has invested in a lot of other businesses. The criticisms will come against state institutions. There are over 1,000 state institutions in this country. Over 1,000. Public institutions that are mandated to conduct their affairs in accordance with law. And if you read the Auditor General's report, you see that state institutions in general have over a very long period not done things in accordance with law. So you cannot use the situation with SNIT alone to, as it were, bastardize the image of a previous government by the NDC. Now, when he sits here and speaks of the NPP government, he forgets that before the last 8 years, there was an 8 years. Before the last 8 years of the NDC.
So now you're equalizing.
I am not equalized. I am saying that let us make a dispassionate debate of the issues. Why? SNIT was involved in an Obutan scandal. SNIT, under the NPP one. There was an issue of the Obutan scandal. So, periodically, state institutions will do things that will shock our sensibilities as a people.
But what's your view, SNIT?
Why?
Do you think we need to take critical actions?
Saturday,
they are
Saturday, I sat on your sister program, Newsfire, and I made a call that let the matter be investigated expeditiously, so that where persons, whether just public officials, because it is not all public officials who may be politically aligned, where persons who are just simply public officials or public officials politically aligned to the NDC, where they are found culpable, let the law take its normal course in those matters.
Very well.
But we are saying that before that is done, let us be circumspect. The excessive bastardization of the NDC is too much. Why? In May this year, PPA signed an IT agreement worth almost $97 million.
Well, we've had a press conference. We've had a press conference.
Hold on.
That has been said not to be true.
Hold on.
We've had a press conference by the boss of PPA.
Yes.
He says that it's only costing $5 million. If I was at that press conference, though, I would say that there were news reports earlier. Yes. I wasn't there.
I see.
There were news reports that were indicating there were 97.
Hold on.
And the news reports apparently have not been even sourced to my Joe Online.
Good. Hold on. 5 million, how much? CDs or dollars?
Dollars.
Good.
But it's funded by the World Bank.
Good.
But I know that the news reports of at the time when the thing was launched.
Yes, that I also saw.
Yes.
97 million. Even if it's 5 million, it is World Bank money that is intended for us. And we decided that we will apply it this way. Has anybody done another valuation?
That's your responsibility as a minority.
Hold on. I am asking you. So until we do that, we will not scandalize such an agreement. That is my point. Until we establish that there is a better deal somewhere, I will not scandalize the agreement.
But you don't think that 74 or 72 million ultimately?
Why? That is why I am saying that is why I am saying that let us call for an investigation. And I'm a lawyer. I will not sit here, you are considered innocent until proven guilty by a court of law. I won't sit here and say that because it's politics, I should do so. No. I will speak objectively to the matter. I am saying when anybody is found culpable to have engaged in anything that has caused financial loss to the state, the available laws should be applied.
That will be done. That will be done. And we will stop this misuse of public funds. Misappropriation of public funds. It's about time we stop.
Assuming that within the period, let's say, the period when the MPP will be in power, until when, let's say, we have a new
Roland, before your question,
we're not going to have incidents of
let me put the matter into you answer your question. Let me put the matter into perspective. Yesterday, I participated in an anti-corruption seminar organized by Star Ghana, and I made a revelation that 2015, the Auditor General's report alone for 1 year for public ministry departments and agencies, for state institutions and boards, and state pre-university tertiary institutions, the infractions that has occasioned the economic loss to this country is about 4 billion 1 year. 4 billion Ghana cedis.
I think that was even known at the Appointments Committee of Parliament sometime.
No, I put the figures together.
Yes.
But
it's a recurring figure, 4 billion.
Yes. The summary of those 3 reports is 4 billion, equivalent to $1 billion US. That is how much we lose from the plethora of state institutions that we have.
The schools,
so you can pose your question to him that it's an issue that is endemic in this country.
Exactly, but we had an administration.
So you want me to pose a question that you think inures to your benefit? But at the end of the period, we know that no matter what it is, we're supposed to make sure that the appointees and the public servants who handle those key positions undertake their actions in such a way that they are lawful and also benefit the public good.
Exactly. But
and usually the suspicions are that they over the years they've not been doing that.
They have not. It's not about suspicion, it's a fact. Because when I mention the issues, you tell me I'm doing politics, but this is not a matter of politics, this is a matter of fact. And our politicians has not been helpful in as much as the public servants. So when we talk of corruption, it's not just about politicians. Public servants are also corrupt. But they are supposed to supervise. They are supposed to have an oversight responsibility as to what is going on. And I believe they failed us. Politicians from both either NPP or, because I don't think when NPP was in power, all our consolidated funds were protected in such a manner that it didn't go anywhere. Again, like I said, I am very passionate. He said we should have a dispassionate, argument. But I'm very passionate about how this country's money has been going down the drain and development has been stalled and all of that. And I'm very optimistic again, and I repeat, that our coffers will be protected, and this administration will make sure it goes to where it's supposed to go to. As we are speaking now, we are current on all our statutory obligations. This was not in the case of the previous administration. So, yes.
If you say we're current, you mean there are no backlogs?
No.
There always will be backlogs. And I know that the practice has been 3 months, only that within the last couple of years it's been extended to 7 months or even a whole year.
Well, within about 8 months.
But that's not what we're talking about.
Let me make this.
Can we just conclude on this subject so that we move on?
Can I make a point on
we want to look at two other issues.
Matter?
Apparently,
I have not received my statutory funds.
Teacher training allowances are supposed to be given to training.
I don't receive my statutory funds.
Teacher training.
No, I would have been notified.
The vice president revealed on Saturday.
You see, the vice.
So go and.
You see, the vice. This is a vice president who says he won't borrow and is now borrowing.
I'm listening to you.
Please listen to me. Now, the graphic is reporting teacher training allowances now ready, and from the next academic year, for 144 million will be spent on them. That's good news. Well, I start with you.
Well,
considering that there was near cancellation or cancellation and restoration.
You see, sometimes too, I find fault with you media guys.
With
the way
the panelists,
the hosts. The way the media, the way you slant the discussions.
Okay.
It was not simply cancelled.
Okay.
For the sake of cancelling.
It was substituted with.
No.
With the student loan scheme.
No, there were institutional changes. The colleges of education moved from being teacher training colleges to colleges of education, tertiary institutions. And the policy of government is that all tertiary institutions, public ones, are entitled, students at those levels are entitled to obtain student loans.
As bursaries?
They are not bursaries.
Okay. As student loans?
Yes.
Okay.
And we are saying that as a result of that, it was economically unwise to pay an allowance to somebody who has been put on a student loan to be payable any time after the person completes school and begins work.
And the other argument too
Hold on. And that the savings we make from stopping the payment of the allowance, we will use it to improve infrastructure so that the schools can admit more. Now, the schools have been given quota. Nurses Training College and Amajope Training College, whole Nurses Training College, for instance, who admitted about 180 students last year, now they are being asked to admit 110 or 20, thereabout.
20.
A drop of about 60. It means 60 students, candidates or prospective students, now won't get the opportunity to get trained because of a certain introduction of a policy that has occasioned this change.
Reintroduction.
What?
It was an allowance regime that was substituted with the student loan scheme.
Yes.
Which,
and so
personally,
it's just a matter of ideology. We came, the quota system was in place, and they were paying allowances. And we said that you cannot ask somebody who has qualified to pursue tertiary education, and because of a certain policy, the person is frustrated. So it's just a matter of ideology and policy implications. If they think that they must introduce the allowance, and people who are qualified to pursue training, tertiary training at either the colleges of education to become trained teachers, or health institutions to become nurses and community health nurses, should be deprived of the opportunity, It is up to the good people of this country to judge. So I am saying, yes, it's a policy. Those people who are enjoying it may say hallelujah, but it's a disbenefit to those who have been deprived of the opportunity to enter.
What's your point? In the US, is that what things are free? At that level?
Oh, some things are free. We have a lot of welfare. We have grants when you go to school. They do support you here and there with some amount of money.
Bursaries.
Yeah, so it's not like there are things that are not free. But let's go back to the issues. He did mention policies.
Because in the US, by the time you're out of your community college, or even let's say the main universities, you've racked up student debt,
of course.
loan debt.
A lot of them. Okay. A lot of them.
So you're aware
of course. Especially when you pursue the sciences program. Like
do you think we need to go on this tangent? Giving people allowances?
I was going there.
While they are pursuing education for the general good of themselves and the society?
First, for the society. You see, your policies and your ideologies should inure to the benefit of the people. And sometimes I wonder when they call themselves social democrats, they are indeed social democrats. Remember,
socialists should be giving things for free.
I'm making the point. In the United States of America, during the last electionary campaign, Bernie Sanders, he made a point. He was calling for even college education to be free in the United States of America. Hillary Clinton, he was saying if a household earns less than $160,000 a year, you know what that means? My wife works as a pharmacy technician. I work as an office coordinator. Our joint annual income does not amount to even $90,000 US.
That's a lot of money in Ghana.
A lot. So that means, but not a lot in not a lot in the United States. But
I'm trying to be mischievous.
Hillary was saying when I become a president, myself and my wife will go to college for free because we do not earn that much. So even in the United States, they are calling for such provisions. But again, you need to also look at the economic situations and the social situations. These people who do go to the training colleges, we should know where they are coming from. My sister went to the training college, Holy Child Training College in 2nd D. And if it had not been for the allowances she was receiving at that time, I don't think she would have made it.
Really? Your sister went?
Yeah, yeah, she went. At that time, I don't think because I was in the US, so I was supposed to have helped. No, I wasn't, so I was still in this country. So the point I'm making is that, yes, we can make the argument, the quota system, whether it disadvantages some other people and all of that, but we also need to consider the economic and the social implications, and that is what this government...
Amiel.
Sir.
At the end of the day, I went to school on student loan the first time I was doing my graduate studies. Okay, and I'm working because I live in Ghana. I'm serving Ghana. If I happen to aspire to become a nurse and I go to a nursing training college, why wouldn't I go and be on a student loan scheme? When I start working, I pay for it. What's wrong with that?
There's nothing wrong with that. Like I said, we can have that argument. We should also consider the argument of these people, their economic background and their social background.
You mean usually poor people become teachers?
It's not, no, that's not.
They aspire to be teachers?
No, that's not the case. I have told you, let's be real and let's face the fact. The very people who goes into the training colleges are people who really find it difficult to get into the main tertiary education. So, of course, because of monetary concerns and financial constraints. And this is a government that the financial situations of the people, because we are not at the point in our economic life where we can say, okay, you know what, take the loan because after school you are going to have a job, you work and you'll be able to pay off your student loan and all of that. We can cushion them. We can do so because I think when we are able to adjust.
It's not for voting purposes.
No, we believe we can be able to adjust and manage our resources enough to continue to provide for these people as it was being done. You see, what is unfortunate, again, let me come in. What is unfortunate is that at the time when they were cancelling these training allowances, they had enough money to give away to individuals.
To who?
To companies. You want me to go back to the issues that I mentioned earlier, like the Mary, like the Smarties, like the Jida, the SADA, while they were telling us we don't have enough money. It's not economically wise, that's what he said, to give money to our own Ghanaians. They were able to give money to individuals for free, for work absolutely not done. Your own Manasseh Azuri made a report on the GIDA. Look at the amount of money that went.
We're told 1 billion.
Exactly. Okay. For absolutely no work done. And you are telling me we cannot do. How much is it costing? 144 million a year? And we can do that?
You think it's
we can
peanuts?
reprofile our loan and get...
You think it's peanuts?
It's not peanut. It's
it could have been used for student loan. At least we can recover half of it.
But when we are able to manage the resources well, we can be able to do that. That's why we're able to do that.
We can do that. Okay.
We can.
Now, the point is this, and forcefully so. The implication of the introduction, when we canceled the quota system, at the time that we did so, these two schools, these two category of schools, the health training institutions and
teacher training
colleges, were not tertiarized. We took steps to tertiarize them. Because at that time, they introduced the quota, and they are not done expansion. So people were being frustrated. We lifted the quota, tertiarized the institutions, so that they could now access student loans. Hitherto they did not. So the allowance was very key to their survival. Now we have moved you to the level of tertiarization. Do you know what they have done?
Has it changed the economic situation?
Yes, at the university level, they have increased fees. When they are talking about economic succor to these people at this level, go to the university level. They have increased fees of about 20% without any justification. We are asking them to bring those scale of fees to Parliament. They are adamant. The universities have reopened. Students are being asked to pay without Parliament ratification. And they tell us that they are here to bring economic succor to the people. It is not true. The
argument is that we're not of the same status.
But we are saying that tertiary institutions, they belong to the same category. So there are policy contradictions there. What they have just done is that because of the economic implications...
Well, he says that usually it's underprivileged and poor people who go to...
Who told him that? Who told him that? People decide...
Did you go to a training college?
No, because I didn't want to be a teacher.
Okay.
I know people who went to Wesley Girls who decided...
Karen, you teach anywhere?
I teach. I know people who attended Archimota School and decided to be a nurse.
Yes, sure.
So they couldn't have gone to the university because that time University of Ghana was not running nursing program.
Because their passion was that they wanted to be nurse.
Good. So that's the point.
And they did enjoy.
That's the point I'm making. So the policy implication of what they have done is because of economics. Hold on, let me finish.
I know somebody who did one.
Hold on. Because of economics. So they are cutting down the normal that will benefit.
Those who don't do what they go to.
No, Roland, why would they be asking the private training institutions to increase admission and ask the public ones to decrease admission?
Okay, no argument here. You know a deputy minister, he's your colleague. He used to be on the show very often. I like him really. He has great experience, especially as a consultant in the agricultural sector, specifically in cocoa, was a consultant to cocoa board, etc. And Mr. William Quaitoo has put in his resignation. We know that even the minority put in a statement, section of the minority. We had Northern chiefs that had also weighed into the argument, Northern youth groups, etc., about perceived statement that stereotyped people of Northern extraction and all. But now his resignation is in. I start with you because he's your colleague. And you, as a minority section, you also put in somewhere.
It's very sad that he has to go.
As a deputy minister?
Yes, but it's also sad that as an elected representative of a section of the generality of Ghanaians, my brother will throw all caution to the wind and make this such unguarded comments. He has come to retract, but I think further pressure has been brought to bear on him. You know, these are some of the things the president spoke about conduct. Do things so that you don't bring disaffection to my government. You know, let us be very fair. There are lots of people in this country who consider persons from other parts of the country with a certain prejudice. I met somebody who once asked me to wait. Now who are you nipa?
Oh, that's no.
Yes. No, it happened to me. And I told the person, I see, you know nothing about Eve. Eve is spoken in 4 countries. And I go to Togo and I pass as a citizen. I go to Benin, I pass as a citizen. I go to Southern Nigeria, I pass as a citizen. Because when they speak, I am able to communicate. Because they are Eves, generally. And so we have had very fantastic people. When you travel outside, the way we are treated as blacks, you know, because we have this skin pigmentation.
They know no ethnicity.
Yes. That is why it is so sad when you come down here. We are ourselves. That's what Martin Luther...
He has the best experience. So
yes. That's why Martin Luther once called black on black violence. Violence not as in picking Womafu and other things, but, you know, psychological violence on each other.
On your own kind.
On our own kind. And now even the racism, I think in America they are noted for it, so that one. But even in China, in the Arab states, against blacks, it's unfortunate.
So now there is resignation.
Yes. So I will urge him to try. I'm sure psychologically he will be tortured.
He will be distraught.
But, yes, and distraught. He should gather himself and watch his words.
Yeah, it's a good thing he resigned.
It's a good thing?
Yeah, it's a very good thing because, like you said, where I come from, when you are discriminated because of your accent, because of the color of your skin, it really hurts. It really hurts.
Have you been discriminated against?
Oh, a lot of times. A lot of times. Sometimes they don't even show it, but the way they...
In their manner, conduct.
So if somebody, you know, says it as he did, it's very frustrating. I'm very sad that, you know...
He had to come to this.
Yes, he had to. No, the resignation, that he has to make that comment. The comment is very unfortunate. After the resignation, the president could have even fired him for whatever reason. But for him to have resigned for that particular reason, for me, it's unfortunate for him to have made that statement. I understand the frustrations and the pressure politicians do go through. And he can attest to that. They do go through a lot. Sometimes you get to the point where you need to take a deep breath. And I think at that point, he didn't take that deep breath.
Oh, you cut the line.
And say that is a network.
For me, it's good that he's gone. So that it will set an example for the rest, for others.
But we have to put into perspective, it's not the first time that we've had resignations and people resigning, right?
Oh, no, not on this ground.
When I was coming here, I was
thinking... You think
this
was grievous?
No, when I was coming here, I was thinking too. We had Victoria Hammer resigning. We had...
No, he was fired. She was fired.
She was fired, actually.
Yeah,
Defativo resigned.
Okay.
Now we had other...
We have other issues, but this one was very, very sensitive to me because of where I've come from. So it's a good thing he has done. If he did it by his own volition, that is good. If the president asked him to, that's also good. But we also need to take a cue from what has happened and know as a people that you have no right to discriminate against anybody because of how they speak, because of how they dress or the food that they eat. You have no right. That's why I like the 1776 American Declaration that all men are created equal. And they are endowed with certain unalienable
rights. When you're talking America, then your slang comes.
Come on.
The elimination.
They are right. Liberty and the pursuit of happiness. They are equal. And God created us equal, regardless of whatever
I love that.
We are.
You're a different politician, I believe.
I wish.
Kofi Ameyao, he's just fresh into the political landscape in Ghana. Okay, but he's a Deputy MPP Communications Director, USA. So that's established, but member of the communication team here. And he's been in the studio with Roxanne Nelson Dapamapo, who is a member of Parliament for South Dine and also a legal practitioner. Thanks for joining me, gentlemen. I've enjoyed the conversation. And